So to start with, you kind of have the title of the news item. You have the collection it belongs to. You have the body of the news item, which contains any relevant information, dates, and links. In addition to that, you have the source. If it's an official source coming right from the team, it'll be official. If it's another source, our curators will specify and provide a little bit of background on why that source may or may not be trustworthy. We will also have relevant collections. Some news items may apply to all collections within a ecosystem. Some news items may only apply to specific. So there may be a proof claim, but it doesn't have anything to do with potentially oddities or moonbirds. So we'll be serving that update to proof holders as opposed to pinging everybody if it's not a relevant update for their specific holdings. We then have a link to the original source. This will take you out to the source of the announcement, whether it's a Medium article, a Discord page, a Twitter post, etc. Our users can then interact with these posts. The thumbs up marks this update as relevant. So this basically is saying, hey, this is a relevant update for me. It's something that I expected to see and is something that I would continue to want to see. The fire is a valuable update. So this is the type of update that, provides value. So if you're looking at, valuable claims, raffles, airdrops, something that's going to provide direct value to you, or you receive direct value from this news update, this is kind of the icon you will use there. Like, these icons will give us feedback on the curation process. It'll allow us to modify this as we go. It's a kind of a living, breathing process, and user feedback is going to be an important role that will kind of play throughout this process, as we can see what kind of content is relevant, what kind of content is valuable, and then deliver the most relevant and valuable content to our users. We also have the report button. If there's an error in the news event that you need to report, if the link is off, if there's any kind of issue, or for whatever reason, it isn't a relevant update and there's some reason that we need to report it, this would kind of be your outlet as a user to report that. These reports will be viewed. We take these very seriously. We want to make sure that user input is heard. And, and if a post is reported enough, maybe there's a bad link or a bad actor got in the system, we'll automatically hide that news event so that you're not seeing a potential dangerous news item there. So in addition to the action buttons here, we have tags. These tags are entered in by our curators as they enter in news updates. We have rumors, news, key dates, claim, raffle, utility, airdrop, and warning to start with. We'll be adding more of these as we see fit, as we determine, other news categories. And the power of these tags is, if expand a project, you can filter on these tags per project. So you may have a project that you may or may not care about, news and utility, and maybe you only care about, claims or raffle opportunities for that project. You can, hide the irrelevant to you tags and only see what is potentially valuable. You also can kind of sort this all news feed, which is kind of displayed in chronological order. You can kind of filter down to an individual collection. I can filter into 10 KTF, and you can, then filter on and off independently these tags of other projects. So like I said, you can filter on a per collection basis. As you expand and contract these rows, you can see the news feed updates on the right side. So sometimes you may want to see news that, let me see news for all of the projects across WGMI's curation. I may be interested to see, what is going on in the overall market as a whole. And we provide you that ability through the See All News toggle. This will load all news from all projects that we curate. So it will be kind of a similar experience for the user, except rather than being limited to their own projects, they now have drop downs and filters for every single project that we curate. This becomes a bit more powerful when we introduce these global tags. So when you introduce global tags and filters, you can then even filter down on a deeper level all of the news. So you can say, hey, show me all claims across all curated projects. You can see what is offering claims, see what's happening, in chronological order, and potentially look at some of these for price movement. If you wanted to get into a project, or you're looking at a project, they just had a claim, maybe the value has dropped a bit, or they had an airdrop, maybe there's a good entry point. And you can also kind of use it just to explore different projects in terms of, hey, let me see what this ecosystem has to offer. Let me look through their news and see what they provided holders over the last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, as we kind of build out this news archive to look at the relevant, actionable news updates that these projects are actually pushing out there. If you see these, you're looking at all these opportunities for a project you don't hold, you could say, oh, maybe investing in this would have been a good idea, might still be a good idea. They're continuing to deliver value to their holders through these news items. I can talk a bit about how we curate these projects for what is and what isn't in our news system. So initially, we have 16 curated ecosystems. You can find those if you go to our landing page, into our feature guide. You'll open that up. You'll see some of the curated ecosystems there on our contributor Git book. So what will qualify something to be on that list going forward is essentially we have 5 or 6 factors we're looking at. We're looking at, what percentage of our holders own that asset. We're looking at, the volume, not only in terms of ETH, but in terms of number of sales for that collection across all assets in that ecosystem. We're looking at, is the ecosystem complex? Does it require, a deep, dive to understand? The more complex an ecosystem, the more valuable it will be to get, deeply curated news from a curator who's in tune with that ecosystem. We also look at the frequency of news, like, are they constantly building? Are there constantly updates? In addition to that, are there constantly, events that these curators need to attend to stay filled in? Are they constantly having, weekly town halls, AMAs, where they're, introducing, actionable, relevant news for holders? So we expect our curators to be attending these, and, the more of these there are, the more priority there is to get that ecosystem into our system. And while we are kind of looking at this deep curation for a smaller subset of projects, we're constantly expanding the number of projects that are just available on the site. Like Brendan was talking about earlier, we have these analysts that are also doing wide-ranging curation. They're looking at the news of the day. We're entering in new collections, ecosystems daily to do like a shorter dive, but a wider net for these other projects that aren't going to be getting the deeper curation at day of launch. So while your assets may not be on this initial list of 15, we are going to be covering a lot of the bigger projects, right from launch, as we have this team of analysts who is basically watching, the NFT news space and entering updates as they're kind of seeing relevant and actual updates come to light.